Well, a very, very happy Friday morning. Welcome to the John Quintero Show on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Well, I told you at the beginning of the week on Friday, we were either going to be talking about the Padres moving on to the next round of the playoffs, or we're going to have the post-mortem that they got eliminated by the Chicago Cubs. Well, we're going to have the post-mortem today. And Monday, we're going to have a lot more to say about this, but we are going to get into some Padre talk here right off the top of the program. Coming up at 9:30, our Friday get together with John Maffei from the Union Tribune, talk about the big games around San Diego tonight. And another big one actually outside of San Diego up in Northern California between Cathedral Catholic and the legendary football program De La Salle. Jonathan Oliveri is going to be in about 9:45, right around that time, to break down tonight's ball game out at Snapdragon Stadium, the conference opener for both Colorado State and for San Diego State. Colorado State coming in 1-3, and the Aztecs coming in at 3-1. And the Aztecs in their first two home games have not given up a point yet. Lot to get to today. Also want to share an anniversary with you today. I'm very happy to be here, I can tell you that, but I'll tell you more about that in a minute. Just a couple of orders of business. If you're tuning in for the very, very first time, please subscribe to the channel. Please please send in your comments to Coach's Crew. If you don't get them in during the program, we'll get them into Coach's mailbag. And if you got a good question, we'll answer it today. And possibly, if you don't get in Coach's mailbag. So make it a good question. And I know there's a lot of anger today, a lot of frustration. Totally get it. And I'm going to try to help you a little bit. And then on Monday, we're going to really start getting into the roster of who's coming back, who's not coming back. But I'm going to give you some thoughts on some of the performances here in a minute. But I want to share this with you before we get into what happened to the Padres. They dropped the final game of that series, and they fly home to San Diego, and everybody going their different directions. We're going to have to see exactly what goes on. I can tell you right from the start. Where I do the program, I do it from my house, and San Diego Gas and Electric has turned out our power for 8 hours today. So I'm trying to hang in there. We're going to go up and down probably a little bit. You're going to be able to hear me, but not always see me. But we're going to try to get through this show today the best we possibly can. So hang with me, and hopefully we can get through it. But I want to remind everyone, we got our Gold Glove member package at $2.99. If you'd like to be a part of that, just go to our And we're back. So hang with me. We're going to try to stay up the best we can. And again, Monday, we're going to go through this quite a bit. But I'm going to get to my story a little bit. 16 years ago today, it was early on a Saturday morning. I didn't know it, but I had a heart attack. There were a couple of days left in the Major League Baseball season. And I was at the ballpark on Friday night. Bruce Bochy was managing the Giants, and talking to Tim Flannery, and I was doing the pregame show, post-game show. In fact, at that point in time in 2009, I was doing 17 radio programs per week. I was doing a 5-day-a-week talk show. I was doing pre and post game for the Padres, except on Saturday, the post game, and then I got Sunday off. But I mean, I was, working morning, noon, and night, and I was living at Petco Park. Well, and I had the World Baseball Network, Bob Scanlon and I did on Saturday mornings from 10 to 12. Well, I woke up at about 5 o'clock in the morning after going to bed at 2 the night before. Woke up at 5 in the morning, came downstairs, felt a little warm on my head, and I drank some milk, and then I drank some water, went back to bed, got up, got ready to go to the program. We had our final World Baseball Network show, 10 to 12 on that Saturday. And I wasn't feeling good. And we were doing ad libs for Aladdin bail bonds, and we were doing them like every 15 minutes during breaks. And I had to do an ad lib, Bobby would do an ad lib, and would go back and forth. And when Bob was doing the ad lib, I had my head on the table and my arms stretched out. And Bob said to me, he goes, "Hey, are you feeling like any numbness?" I go, "No." So we get through the show. I'm feeling absolutely awful, and get home, lay in bed, and I'm watching UCLA play Stanford. And my wife goes, "You know what? I know you got to go to the ballpark tonight." And I was all excited because I was going to do a show with Randy Jones and Dave Roberts. I was going to not do the pregame show that night. I was going to do the pregame talk show, which was not normal, but it was the last big Saturday night at Petco Park. So I was all excited, Dave and Randy and me. And my wife goes, "You know what? I think we need to go to the hospital." So we go up to the hospital, Scripps Hospital in Encinitas. And I go in there, and Dr. Avalos, great cardiologist, after about 45 minutes, I'm there, comes in and goes, as I'm laying in a hallway in a gurney bed, he goes, "You've had a heart attack, and we're going to have to take you into surgery." So that didn't make me feel real good. I felt disappointed, felt like I let my family down because I got sick. And, I was working morning, noon, and night, working a lot. And so they go in, and Dr. Charlotte, I'll never forget Dr. Martin Charlotte, an incredible cardiologist, I might add. If you're looking for a cardiologist, I don't know if he even takes new patients. He comes in, and I'm laying on the table in the operating room. And I don't know where he was, but they called him in to perform surgery on me. And he was he's from Toronto. And so I'm laying there and the lights flashing down on me. And I'd never met him. He had worked on my mom and dad. He'd been my mom and dad's cardiologist. And so I'm laying there on the table, and he looks at me before, the lights are going to go out on me, and goes, "Hey, John, I heard you talking about the Toronto Blue Jays this morning." Next thing you know, I wake up in recovery. Next thing you know, I'm in ICU, and I was in ICU, not because they were worried about me, but that was normal. But I never actually went to a real room. I was in ICU after the surgery on Saturday through Tuesday. So I was in over the weekend, and I can't even begin to tell you the outpouring of love that I got from you fans out there, the baseball community, the sports community. It was amazing. And so 16 years ago today, I had that heart attack. And I'm doing well. Just as you get older, you got little things that you got to take care of. And I take good care of myself as far as, getting all my checkups and all that. And, but I wanted to share that today because in 2009, on this date, um, I'm glad I'm here. Let's put it that way. And, bounce back took me a while. It took me a while to bounce back, more psychologically than it did physically. But I'm back and raring to go. So I wanted to share that with you a little bit today. But anyways, let's get to the Padres here. And I'm not going to rehash everything that went on in the games. Padres came back in game two on Wednesday, and they won it 3-0. Manny got his only hit, ran into a first pitch bad splitter up in the zone and pulled it out of the ballpark for a 2-run homer. But, at the end of the day, Padres offense, not good against quality pitching. It's that simple. And, we'll talk about Manny today. Um, Manny has not been a good postseason player. We know that. And he proved it again this postseason. He was 1 for 10. He had the 2-run homer, a 100 average. He walked a couple of times. He struck out 3 times. Didn't have a good series. And then, yesterday, one of the reporters asked him to assess the season. And Manny went off on the reporter going, "Hey, we just got beat. How do you want me to assess the season?" Well, this is the leader of your ball club. And you know what? He could have handled it a lot better. He could have just said, "You know what? It's too fresh and raw. We're going to meet back at the ballpark, on Tuesday or whenever they have their closing media get together." And he could have just said, "Hey, we'll talk about it next week. My brothers are in here. We're all hurt and we got beat. And, at the end of the day, we didn't achieve our ultimate goal. We got to the playoffs, just couldn't get it done. But, he made that guy probably feel like Tom Thumb. Okay. But, Manny's career history in the postseason is really pretty bad. And there's no reason to think at 33 years of age it's going to get any better, quite frankly. I mean, he's out of the prime of his career. And, he had a good year, not a great year. He really tailed off at the end. I don't know what was going on there. But, he in 51 playoff games now, he's a 209 career hitter. And if 209 wasn't bad enough, how about a 259 on base percentage? And for all you OPS warriors out there, how about a 682 OPS? That's not very good. So, I mean, it is what it is with Manny. I mean, you go back to the 2020 postseason, he hit 154 with a 185 on base percentage. 2022, he did a really good job, had a really good series against the Dodgers. Best series he's had in his entire career. But that year, he ended up 271 with a 327 on base percentage, hit 4 homers, 7 RBIs. That's not bad. And then a year ago, he hit 179 with a 179 on base percentage, 1 homer and 2 RBIs. That's not good. Here's your number 3 guy. You got to get more out of him. I mean, he had 1 hit in the entire series. So, like I said, I hate to sound like a broken record, but I said this on the podcast. I said this on San Diego Sports 760. I said it on KUSI. Unless Tatis and Manny hit, the Padres are not going to win. The pitching was off the chart. I don't want anybody to complain about this guy or that Suarez gave up a home run yesterday. I don't care. The pitching was out of this world. You could not ask for a better pitching performance from the Padres. But we'll get into the Yu Darvish start, which I'm still scratching my noggin on that one. But we'll get to that in a minute. But the pitching was incredible. And I don't know, Pivetta was good the other day. He pitched well enough to win most games if his team could score runs. I mean, Morejon 3 days in a row, Mason Miller, he was striking out everybody, including the peanut vendor. I mean, that guy was blowing some serious cheese up there. 103, 104 miles an hour. And even David Morgan, who got an opportunity to pitch that final inning for the Padres yesterday, here's a guy that came up from Double A. He did a hell of a job this year. Struck out 2 yesterday in his 1 inning of work. I mean, the pitching is not the problem, and it wasn't the problem the entire year. But when you score 5 runs in 3 games, you're not going to win too many games. In the game you did win, you scored 3. So, not being a math major, that means in the 2 losses, you scored a total of 2 runs. That's pathetic. That's pathetic. And Machado didn't do his job, okay? And then he gets surly with one of the members of the media, and that's your leader of the ball club. And then we can get into Fernandto Tatis Jr. And I don't know what's going on with this guy. Okay, forget that he went 1 for 12. Okay, forget that he went 1 for 12. He had a couple of runs scored and a stolen base. But what's wrong with this guy? I mean, it looks like he doesn't even enjoy playing anymore unless, he makes a catch in the outfield. That kind of gets him fired up. Offensively, he is pathetic at the plate. He hit 268 this year. Great. There are a lot of guys in Major League Baseball that hit 268. He hit 25 homers. That's great. He's not the same player, folks. And I've been saying for years, he's my favorite Padre player to watch because he's exciting. He's not exciting anymore. What is going on with him? Does he want to be in San Diego? Is he bored by playing the right field? I don't know. But I can tell you this. If I was the owner of the Padres, okay, I would get my president of baseball operations and I would have a talk with him. And then I would bring Fernando in. This is what I would do if I was running the ball club. Because you got this guy under a long-term contract. He's supposed to be one of the faces of your franchise. And right now, I don't know if he even wants to be here. He's sure not playing and acting like he wants to be here. Am I missing something here? And I'd like to hear from you fans on this. To me, it looks like he has no fire whatsoever. I mean, the first pitch yesterday that he swung at was a give a crap swing. First pitch of an important ball game, an elimination game. And he looks like he's totally out of it. But I would get together, John Seidler and AJ Pro, they need to get together and talk about Fernandto. Then I think they need to bring Fernandto in. And they need to sit him down and say, hey, look, what's going on with you? Is everything okay? Or, you got any personal issues that we need to be aware of? Because I'll tell you what, this guy is not the same guy. And I know people say, well, the PEDs, maybe that played a part in it. I don't know. I just know he's not the same player that hit 42 home runs and played with fire a couple of years ago. He had injuries. He's had a lot of injuries. Maybe that's played into it. I don't know. But you got this guy until what, 2034? You got to find out what he's all about, because I'll tell you what, he didn't look good. He didn't look good for the last 4.5 months of the season. He had a good April, pretty good May, and then he really dropped off. I mean, there was one point in time, the first 6-7 weeks, we're going, oh man, this guy could be the National League most valuable player. He made the All-Star team, and I really kind of questioned that, to be honest with you. He's kind of living off the past a little bit. Still plays good defense, don't get me wrong, but offensively, he is nowhere near the threat. But it's not even that. It's his body language. It looks like he is not interested. He looks totally lost out there at times. I have no idea what his game plan is at the plate. And it just looks like he's in his own little world. And if I'm the ownership and I've got an investment in this guy until 2034, I need to know what's going on. Now, a lot of people last night, this is why we're not going to make any hard, fast decisions today. We're going to sit on it over the weekend. Monday, I'm going to go through a bunch of the different guys' contract status. I'm not going to get into that today, but I will tell you about Fernandto. Fernandto, last night, everybody wanted to trade Fernandto and Machado, and I got news for you. You're not going to be able to trade Machado. Nobody's going to take that contract. He's under contract until 2033. Okay, he's going to, here before too long, start making $35 million a year. Okay, you're stuck with that contract. I'm sorry, but you're stuck with that contract. Fernando's contract, you could probably still move. And that's something that they need to find out. Does he not want to be here? Does he want to go somewhere he can play shortstop again? And if that's the case, now again, he's got a no trade until after the 2028 season. And then after that, it's a limited trade. And then towards the end, he can pretty much go to all comers. But I got to find out if this guy wants to be here or not. I mean, what I saw over the last few months of the season, I wasn't impressed with him at all. I mean, he got some home runs, but I mean, let's face it, and let's be honest here. Padres do not hit quality pitching. They don't. Machado struggles. Tatis struggles. They're both guys. Teams are not afraid of these guys any longer. They're not afraid of them. They go right at these guys. And I mean, the other day, luckily, Manny got that splitter that was up and in with not a whole lot of juice on it, and that ball kind of hung, and he banged it out of the ballpark. Give him credit for that. I mean, I'll never take away credit for a guy hitting a home run and hitting a mistake pitch. But that was a bad pitch. When they throw that ball in the outer third of the plate, man, he's struggling. That breaking ball eating him up. But I got to know about Tatis if he wants to be here. It's not even about his production. It's about way you're going about your business. Does he really want to be a San Diego Padre? I know he'll say all the things you want to hear, but you know what? Body language is big in baseball. Body language is big in sports, and I'm not seeing it right now, which is really disappointing. Okay, let's get to the decision to pitch Yu Darvish yesterday. Okay, I've been saying for the better part of 2.5, 3 weeks that my rotation would have been Pivetta because Nick earned it. Best year of his career, not even close. I mean, by far it was his best year ever. Okay, that was number one. Number two, I would have gone with Michael King. Number 3, I said I'd go with Dylan Cease. Dylan Cease went game 2, pitched great, 3 2/3, which I thought was kind of an odd move by Mike Schilt. Not that I'm going to argue it, but he walked uh, Bush to get to Nico Horner, I think it was, and then he brought in the right-handed reliever or the left-handed reliever. I mean, I didn't quite understand that move the other day, but hey, nonetheless, they got out of it. They won the game. That's the bottom line. Schilt does some weird things for me, and I, he's not going to get fired. First of all, nor should he get fired. Like I've said before, he's not necessarily my cup of tea. I think he's okay manager. Okay, but I don't think he does a great job of handling the staff. I thought he did a good job during the playoffs, but during the regular season, that's a big part of it. But hey, he got to the playoffs 2 years in a row. Let's give the guy a little bit of slack. He got a contract extension after last year, and he's supposed to be here through 2027. So 2 more years. But those contracts, as we know, can be taken care of rather quickly. I mean, we saw what happened with Bob Melvin. He got a contract extension in the middle of the year, just before the trading deadline, and he's out. And Rocco Baldelli got one as well, and he's out in Minnesota. Mike Schultz not the issue here. Okay. Now let's get to the decision, and I'm sure it was a collaborative decision. Okay. Nobody will ever talk about that, but you got a lot of fingers in the pie, and probably too many and too much analyzing. In baseball, real baseball people always say paralysis by analysis. I mean, you got to go out and play. Now, again, my rotation would have been Pivetta, King, and Cease. They went Pivetta, Cease, Darvish. My question, what has Yu Darvish shown us, not just in the last couple of starts, but this entire year? He made 15 starts. What has he shown us that he could get quality hitters out in a big-time situation this year? And I don't want this to be a bang on Yu Darvish program, because I've got the utmost respect for the man. He's a true professional. And who knows, maybe he'll walk away. He may walk away. That was the shortest start of his career yesterday. He's not the same. He's 39 years old. He's thrown a lot of innings in Japan and in the United States. He's had a brilliant career, a really, really, really nice career. But he couldn't get out of it yesterday. And I told you the reason I wanted to go with those other guys is because in the postseason, you need two things. You need power pitching, and you need power in your lineup. Okay, Padres have power pitching. I mean, Pivetta is one of the best pitchers in baseball this year. Michael King, when healthy, is fantastic. He was one of the best pitchers in baseball a year ago. And when he's out there healthy, he was one of the best pitchers in baseball this year. He just wasn't healthy enough. But once you put him on the postseason roster, you're telling me and telling you that he's healthy. Why did they go with Darvish yesterday? And the thing that I don't understand, nobody in the media that covers them, everybody wants to say, oh man, I'm at Wrigley Field, I'm doing this and that. Nobody asked Mike Schilt, why did you go with Darvish over King? King pitched 1 inning. It was yesterday. He gave up a hit and struck out 3, and that was the end of Michael King. So can somebody please explain to me why, in what we saw, the preponderance of the evidence this year of King compared to Darvish, why did Darvish make that start? Okay, and the thing that gripes me about Schilt, he'll just say, why are you pitching? Well, he's Yu Darvish. Well, yeah, but he's not the Yu Darvish of 3 or 4 years ago when he won 16 games. He's hardly pitched each of the last 3 years. And, same thing like when Machado's in a slump. Well, he's Manny Machado. Yeah, he's a 270, 279 career hitter. That's nothing to write home about. That's a good career average, but there are a lot of guys that have better career averages. Yeah, he's hit home runs. He's won a couple of gold gloves. Hadn't won a gold glove with the Padres yet. So, I mean, you got some issues here. I mean, Darvish is owed $36 million over the next 3 years. And if he wants to go to spring training every year and try to pitch, That's well worth his obligation. I mean, that he could walk away from $46 million. There are not a lot of people that I know that would walk away from $46 million. But you know what? He might be one of those guys because he's an honorable man. Read up on Yu Darvish and all the great charity work he's done. The guy's a pretty special man. He got some kids. He's got a young son that's a pretty good pitcher at Cathedral Catholic. He may want to go watch his son. So, whatever Yu Darvish wants to do, I'm all for it because I respect him. And you know what? He was smart enough. Padres offered him a big contract. He signed it. So if he wants to hang in there and, go to spring training and try to pitch next year and try to pitch the next year and the next year, that's well worth his right. Because he signed a contract in good faith. He tried to pitch this year and probably wasn't 100%. But it's not about Yu Darvish. It's about why did the Padres pitch him over Michael King, yet King pitched yesterday and pitched fantastic. So there you have that. Okay, now the other thing that I wanted to get to, and then we're going to get out. We got to get to John Maffei here pretty quick as well, and then we'll get to Coach's crew. Fernandto 1 for 12 with 4 strikeouts. Machado 1 for 10, 3 strikeouts, a homer, 2 RBIs. Cronenworth was awful. How about 0 for 11? Wow, nice plane ride home. 0 for 11, man. I wouldn't be able to sleep for about 3 weeks on that one. O'Hearn went 2 for 9. He had some pretty good at bats, though. The guys that were the best hitters, Freddie Fermin, 4 for 11, 2 doubles. And I know everybody's going to, well, yeah, but he didn't get the hit when it counted. You know what? He put a good swing on that ball. He hit to center field. Just didn't get quite on top of it enough. Fermin gave some quality at bats. Bogarts was great. 4 for 12, 333, a double, and RBI. Did a nice job. Merrill, 3 for 9, 333, 2 doubles, a homer, 2 RBIs. Those guys did a good job. But, the big boys, Fernandto and Machado, 2 for 22. And, well, it is what it is on that. So we're going to get to John Maffei. We're going to get to Jonathan to get a preview of the Aztec Colorado State game. And then we're going to get out to your comments. And again, on Monday, I'm going to come out on fire because I've already done a lot of work on Monday's show. I did that last night. I couldn't go to bed last night. I was so irritated. So irritated. And we know it was a ball on Bogarts. And I said, well, he would have walked. And then the next 2 guys hit. You know what? That's a whole different scenario. You got to go batter by batter. In a perfect world, that would have happened where it'd been ball 4, 2 batters get hit. We got the bases loaded, and all of a sudden, something's going on. But I'm sure Craig Counsell would have changed some things around if Bogarts would have walked there. So, the bottom line, DJ Rayburn in a clutch situation made a bad call. Next year, we'll do this. Okay. You get ready for that next year. All right. Let's get out to John Maffei. We got his camera working. How about that? Even though we had this beautiful picture of him, now we get him in living color. And John, it's great to have you. And I think you'd probably agree with me on just about everything I had to say about the Padres right there.
Absolutely, and I, I don't have a problem so much with Darvish, but why did King only throw 1 inning? That's the puzzler for me.
Yeah, he looked pretty doggone good in that inning too.
He did. He's going to be your long guy. Are you saving him for Milwaukee? You got to get there first.
Yeah, maybe the Arizona Complex League.
Yeah, that was the puzzler for me. Darvish deserves some respect. Like you said, he's the guy. He's got experience, but but only throwing your guy, throwing King one inning was a head scratcher.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, you score 5 runs in 3 games. You're not going to win too many games.
No, that tie. If you can't tie. So 5 runs isn't going to do. That's not going to do it.
Yeah, and I think we got to give the Cubs a lot of credit. Their pitching was very good, and their guys put the ball in play when they needed to put the ball in play. They didn't strike out, and they fed off the crowd a little bit. But hey, you know what? They earned the opportunity to host the series, and maybe that was the deciding factor. But their guys put the ball in play when they needed to.
Absolutely, and that's a great crowd in Chicago. My aunts and uncles and cousins are all there, and I was getting texts from from aunts and uncles and cousins, and I didn't have a whole lot of defense.
Yeah, the one thing about Chicago fans, and I don't have a lot of experience there, but I have been to Wrigley Field and talking to a couple of people that were there the last couple of days. They said the Cub fans are just fantastic. They actually watch the game. They don't walk around and just want to be out and seen at a ball game. They actually sit there, watch, and actually know what's going on.
Oh, absolutely, and they are into the in Chicago. It's not like L.A. or here where you're a Dodgers and Angels fan or a Padres and Angels fan. In Chicago, you're not a Cubs and White Sox fan. You're a Cubs or White Sox fan. You don't you don't root for, even though they're in different leagues. You pick one and that's your team.
Absolutely. Hey, well, let's get to high school football. And, I don't have to be a brain surgeon to figure this one out. I think you're going to be tonight at the LCC Mission Hills football game.
I will be there, and I will be there early to get a parking spot.
Well, what do you like in this game? I mean, La Costa, and I had breakfast with Sean Sovicol about 3 weeks ago, and he thinks this is the best team he's ever had, and he'd been there for a number of years.
Oh, I agree. I think it's his best team, and I think Sean has matured as a coach. He, before it was, pound it, move down the field, double reverse tight end pass, intercept, and you're going, Sean, why? And well, because we practiced it. Well, you're jamming it down their throats. And I think he's matured now to the point where, he knows much better how to call a game, what's working, and he's got some weapons. Kobe Herman, the little slot back is a fantastic player, and and they got a kid that they thought was lost for the year, blew his knee out in the summer, Lennox Marcucci. And Lennox is back, and he adds another dimension to that team along with Jackson McGorry. So they have some weapons.
Well, the thing that I think that's going to be kind of fun for people that, just people maybe have no rooting interest in Mission Hills or La Costa, they want to go out and see two really, really nice high school quarterbacks.
Oh,
Quinn
absolutely.
Roth of LCC, Troy Hune of Mission Hills. These two guys could flat out play.
Troy Hune is from Mission Hills is going to Cal, and deservedly so. I mean, he is a very good quarterback.
Didn't he? I thought he was going to Penn State.
I'm sorry, Penn State. Penn State. Brady Palmer's going to Cal. Yes, I'm sorry.
Right, the kid from Cathedral.
Yeah, you don't go to Penn State. Penn State doesn't recruit you if you can't play. And he's he's not your 5'8", scrambling high school quarterback. He's a good sized kid. He's 6'3", 6'4", big arm, can take a hit. He will do well.
Well, he's every bit of 6'3" or 6'4". I thought he was about 6'5". I mean, he's a big old
and he
boy.
very well could be 6'5".
Yeah, he's a big, strong-armed guy. And Quinn Roth, I don't know what's going on with him recruiting-wise, but he's a talented guy.
Quinn, the word I'm getting on Quinn Roth is that, and Quinn's every bit of 6'3", maybe 6'3 and a half, 6'4", which is what the colleges are looking for. But Quinn is underweight. He's 175, 180. And, the quarterback gurus that I know say that, although he has all the talent in the world, there are quarterbacks around the country who are 6'3 and a half, 6'4", 225. they don't have to, and the colleges don't have to invest in getting him to training table. And I think somebody's going to get Quinn Roth, and no matter where he goes, and they're going to get a gem of a quarterback.
Yeah, I've been pretty impressed with both of those quarterbacks. I saw them actually play both when they were sophomores, and quite frankly, they were very advanced as sophomores, let alone where they're at right now. So that should be one heck of a ball game tonight. Now, there's a game outside of San Diego tonight. I think a lot of the San Diego high school football fans and probably Southern California football fans going to be interested in tonight. Cathedral Catholic going up to take on Concord de La Salle, that legendary program. Both teams come in at 5-0. And what can you tell me about Concord de La Salle?
Concord de La Salle is, the people, if you don't know, they had a 151 game winning streak. They did a full length movie on them. And this is a legendary program. They took a dip, and they were having 9-2 seasons. They were having 2 lost seasons, and all was lost. That when you lose 2 games and that's a bad season, you've got a good program. But De La Salle is back, and they are very talented, and so is Cathedral. Obviously Cathedral going on the road is an underdog here, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a very close game and might come down to a referee's call, a bounce of a football. That's what the ball is oblong, and it's going to bounce funny ways. You put the ball on the ground, and who knows where it goes. So I think this is going to be a really good game tonight.
All right, another game with league play in North County getting underway. You got number 7 San Marcos 4-1, taking on Oceanside at Simcox Field 2-3, and I got to give you credit, and I'm sure a lot of the readers giving you a lot of credit. You picked Oceanside last week over Mount Miguel. It came down to the wire, but Oceanside eked out the victory at home.
They did, and sometimes you're good, sometimes you're lucky. But I knew that Oceanside. I talked to Fale Pomeli, the Oceanside head coach, before the season, and he just told me, he goes, we might be overscheduled early. Our record might not be good, but when we get to the sit-out period and our transfers get eligible, we are going to be really good. And I took his word for that. Picked him last week, and I don't know if I'm crazy, but I picked San Marcos over Oceanside this week. But I think San Marcos is Zamar Reese, their running back, might be the most talented player in the county. He is really good, and Creep Makahele, their quarterback, probably hasn't played his best game yet. And I think that's going to be a great game. I wouldn't be surprised if Oceanside beats them, but I picked San Marcos.
I'll tell you one thing: when it comes to picking all CIF quarterbacks this year, man, they're going to be a long list. I mean, there's some really good dudes out there firing the pigskin around the gridiron.
Oh my God, there's you could have there could probably be 10 to 12 quarterbacks that get up on the board when for all CIF. And for people who don't know, it's a coaches panel. There's one coach from each of the geographic areas, and then the media, and it's usually sometimes 9, sometimes up to 12 people in that room, and I usually send in so that the meetings don't go 4 or 5 hours, like you well know. Trying to cut it down, I send in a list of nominees. And that list of quarterback nominees is going to be 10 to 12 deep, and and then we'll go from there. That might be the longest part of the meeting is trying to pick the 1 or 2 or maybe 3 quarterbacks that are first team all CIF.
Well, the thing that I like is San Diego is kind of coming into the 21st century throwing the football. Okay, a lot of people were running the double wing, the wing T. My alma mater, Torrey Pines, will run the wing T to nauseum for me, and now they're throwing the ball and throwing it with some pretty good success. But a lot of programs are throwing the ball, and I'll tell you what, I can't remember in the last decade or so many quarterbacks that are really, really pretty good.
Yes, and I mean, and to your point, Santa Fe Christian, which always has had a really nice program, they've always been wing T program because at a smaller school, you can win with the wing T. If you have a little smarter players, you win with deception, and now they are throwing the heck out of the ball with the quarterback Dax Labrum, and I never thought I'd see the day where Santa Fe Christian abandoned the wing T and went to the air, but they are this year.
John, let's try to get to a couple more games. Kind of a game I'm kind of interested in because Rancho Buena Vista, once upon a time, was a powerhouse. And they've had a real tough time in recent memory. They haven't had a winning season since 2017. They're 3-3 right now. They're going down to take on the Marauders at Mira Mesa High School, a fun place to watch a high school football game. Been some great games there, playoffs over the years. And Mira Mesa, a rough year last year, got off to a 3-0 start, but last couple of weeks, man, they've gotten beat up pretty good.
Yes, something's going on at Mira Mesa. Suddenly the wheels fell off the last 2 weeks, and Rancho Buena Vista back to back 1-9 seasons, and they are 3-3 this week. Excuse me. I talked to Terrence McKinney, their coach. They won 10-7 last week. And Terrence was going, "Oh, it was ugly. It was terrible. We eked it out." I said, "Terrence, they don't put pretty and ugly next to W and L. Take it and run because you're gonna have a game where you play really well and get beat. So take the ugly loss and run with it." I think the other school in their district, Vista, has been struggling, and Vista's 0 for this year. RBV is a little bit on the bounce back. That's a big game for RBV tonight if they can get over 500 and get to 4-3.
How about in the Grossmont Hills League? El Capitan 4-2, going down the road to take on Steel Canyon. The Cougars are 6-0 right now.
Yeah, and I Steel Canyon, give them credit. They're probably the surprise team of the season to be sick. Everybody thought they'd be pretty good, but I don't think anybody saw 6-0 coming. And El Cap starts off 0-2, and you're going, what the heck is going on there? And they can't score, and suddenly they've won 4 in a row. Ron Berner, the coach at El Cap, is a very good coach, and he owns a really good restaurant. Maybe we'll get comped there, but he's a great guy. He's a great coach, and I think that's going to be. I wouldn't be surprised if El Cap gets them tonight. But the game is at Steel Canyon, so you got to kind of lean a little bit towards the home team. But El Capitan's got it going.
All right, John. Well, good luck out there tonight. That thing could come down to the final seconds between LCC and Mission Hills, and I think you started it off right. You better get there early because that place you're not going to be able to get in there with a shoehorn tonight.
Better, I'm getting there at 4:30, and I'll probably be in the lower parking lot somewhere.
Well, hey, have a great weekend, and thanks as always for the time. We'll look forward to it again next Friday.
Great. Thank you, John.
All righty. John Maffei from the Union Tribune. He went 8-2 last week. So far in 6 weeks, he's 50-10. How about that? John the Greek Maffei getting the job done, doing a very, very nice job. And again, I'll tell you what, folks, if you follow high school athletics, this guy's on the Mount Rushmore of high school athletics when it comes to media coverage. This guy, I hope he never retires, because when he retires, I don't know how they're going to replace him. He's been doing this a long time. He's got great passion, and just a heck of a guy. And still, man, he grinds. He grinds hard. All right. Well, I'm going to be heading down tonight to Snapdragon Stadium. And, like I've said before, I'm not a big Friday night college football guy, but this is a big game for the Aztecs. Not only do they have an opportunity to go to 4-1, they got an opportunity to get off to a 1-0 start in Mountain West Conference play. Their last year in the Mountain West Conference, taking on Colorado State, that I think is probably not real happy about their performance, and they want to kind of clean slate going into conference tonight. Colorado State 1-3, Aztecs 3-1, and a guy that's going to be covering the ball game tonight for the East Village Times, and is my producer director and does everything for us on the program. Jonathan Oliveri joins me, and Jonathan. Tell you what, Aztecs have been pretty impressive. Now, last week we know it was ugly offensively. Defensively,
Yeah.
they were very good. They eked out a 6-3 victory on the road. You'll take any victory on the road. Hopefully tonight their offense shows up. And in Colorado State coming in with a kind of a bitter taste in their mouth. They've gotten off to a very slow 1-3 start.
Yeah, yeah. Colorado State 1-3, as you mentioned. Fowler Nicolosi, their quarterback, got benched a couple weeks ago for Jackson Brousseau. He came in, nearly won him the game at the end, and then he got to start against Washington State, which they didn't win. But yeah, they play a tough style of defense. They have a great linebacker who has over 25 tackles already, Owen Liu, and on offense, they're going to be with Jackson Brousseau. I expect a lot of screens and quick throws with the pressure that the Aztecs can bring. I think they're going to want to get the football out of their hands quick, not make any mistakes and enforce any turnovers, because the Aztec secondary has been on fire this year all of a sudden with creating turnovers. We saw at the last home game, Chris Johnson with the pick six. We saw the fumble strip return for a touchdown. So it should be a good game. The conference play is always going to be tough. It's like those NFL division games where, these teams will go out and beat a great team during the season, and then they come and play. We see with like the Chargers Raiders, and then the Chargers will kind of play down to that level. So I expect it to be a hard fought game tonight.
Hey, Jonathan, you go out on a regular basis and listen to Coach Lewis. What did he have to say earlier in the week?
Yeah, just ready. If you listen to his press conferences a lot, it's kind of the same thing, but just a different spin on it. But he's always just on to the next thing, even if they win, like after that shutout game against Cal that surprised everybody when we all came back Monday. He barely mentioned it, and he said,
Yeah, we're kind of losing our connection there a little bit.
Gotcha. I on my end it looks okay, so hopefully for the viewers it's good, but I'll keep talking, not sure how it is on yours. But yeah, he just moves on to the next thing quickly. He's always ready for the next opponent. Always searching for a way to exploit them. But yeah, Monday he was just ready and excited for conference play and excited for the fans to come out and root on the Aztecs. All right. I don't see Coach at the moment, so I'll just keep talking about Aztec football. I'll mention the fans again. The fans showed out the last home game versus Cal. So 31,000 fans there. They're really firing up the team, and they're going to hopefully have that same return of fans this time. There he is.
Yeah, we're losing that connection there a little bit. But,
yeah.
Hey, I'll see you tonight at the stadium. I'm looking forward to it. And
all right,
we'll get all squared away.
Sounds good. I'll see you tonight, Coach. Thanks for having me on.
Okay, and I apologize for this. I don't know if you joined us at the beginning of the show today. On my computer, everything's working well. The problem is my internet, because SDG&E is doing some service in our area, and they've cut off our power. So we've been trying to get through the show the best we could, and for the most part, we've done pretty good. We lost Jonathan there, but let's try to get out and get to a few questions right now, and we'll try to answer as many. But on Monday, we're going to really get to it. Okay, let's throw a question up here and get it rolling. Mark Villa, where do we stand with Luis Arraez? I love Arraez. I don't know how much money the Padres feel they can pay him. He made $14 million. I like him. He turned a real nifty 3-6-1 double play yesterday to get him out of that second inning. And then, he had that other play where he threw to the plate and they replayed it and the runner was still out. I know everybody's going to point, well, you didn't run out that ground ball on that line drive. He was playing umpire, thought the ball was caught. It was dropped. He got thrown out and he grounded out two other times to Dansby Swanson. And by the way, hats off to Dansby Swanson. He probably won game 1 and game 3 with his defense. I mean, he stole at least 2 runs, if not more, in game one. He robbed Ryan O'Hearn 2 different times, one on that diving ground ball to his right, and that other beautiful play going onto the outfield grass over his shoulder to make a play. Either one of those balls dropped, Padres have a run. In that one inning, it would have been a run in and nobody out and a bunch of guys on base. So Luis Arraez, as much as I like him, he could be a guy that's going to be a former Padre. They've got to decide, do they want to make an offer to him or Ryan O'Hearn, who's 32 years of age? Could he be your everyday first baseman? That's what they're going to have to decide right there. I like Arraez, but I'm not sure with this team's lack of power. You may need to look to, bring a guy into play a first base that is going to hit the ball with more authority and hit the ball out of the ballpark. Padres right down towards the end of the barrel in all of baseball this year in power numbers. What, they finished 27th in home runs, I think. That's what I got for that, Mark. Thank you very much. Okay, Casey King. Good morning, Coach, and happy Friday. And as for my Dodgers, I think Philly will be tough series, but they can get by Philly. I think they can win it all. What are your thoughts on this series? It wouldn't surprise me. The other team that I'm not going to count out is Seattle. Seattle's got good starting pitching. They're deep in starting pitching, and they got a good bullpen. But, as far as Philly, Dodgers, hell of a series. I mean, the big problem with it, can their bullpen hold up? How are they going to handle that bullpen? They brought Emmett Sheehan in the other night and didn't pitch well, but they got his feet wet. Roki Sasaki may be their secret weapon, but you're asking an awful lot out of a guy to come in and be, the 8th or 9th inning guy when he's never really done it. He pitched well the other night, but, not big pressure situation like with Philly when they're calling your names and yelling and screaming and all that. But it's going to be a hell of a series. Ohtani's going in game one. And you look at Philadelphia, they got 3 really good left-handed starters. They got Ranger Suarez, they got Christopher Sanchez, Luzardo can be tough, and of course Zach Wheeler out. But they got Duran coming out of that bullpen, the guy they got from Minnesota. He's another guy that throws over 100 miles an hour. That's going to be a great series. And whoever wins that, I think, would win probably the National League pennant. I think those are the 2 best teams. Even though Milwaukee has the best record, I think the Dodgers and Philadelphia are the 2 best teams in the National League day in and day out. And as far as talent-wise, Casey, good luck to your Dodgers. Okay, what else we got? I know we got a lot of questions today. A lot of questions. I'm glad this internet's holding out. I was a little worried about this. Tim Barrett, Coach Tatis had no plan at the plate. He swung at every pitch thrown at him. That's a bad plan. Like I said, Tim, I don't know. I'd call, if I'm the owner, I'm getting together with A.J. Preller. We're going to have a talk, and then I think you got to bring Tatis in. These players need to be held accountable, but this kid is acting like there's something going on. Like he's either unhappy being a Padre playing right field, or maybe he's got other distractions outside of baseball. I don't know. But I can't watch that again. I can't watch the way he's malingering around. He malingers around. Unless everything goes his way, he's not a spark plug. Baseball's all about dealing with adversity. Sports, life. You got to deal with adversity. And he looks like he's having zero fun playing the game of baseball right now. What is going on with him? You need to find out. Before you jump on him, you got to find out what's troubling him. And let him be honest. Say, man, it's no holds barred. Whatever you say stays within the confines of the wall and ceiling. But maybe he doesn't want to be in San Diego any longer. But he would have to go to the Padres and say, you know what? I think I need to go somewhere else. Maybe he needs a fresh start somewhere. But Padres can't trade him until after the 2028 season. Somebody's going to have to go. I mean, in a perfect world, Darvish would retire, so that'd save $46 million over the next 3. If you could trade Cronenworth and find a middle infielder to play second base and who could, swing the bat a little bit. And, if you're paying him $5 million, you maybe save $4 or $5 million a year with Cronenworth's contract. We've seen the best of Jake Cronenworth, I think. He makes no adjustments at the plate. I'm anxious to see what Padre coaches are going to get fired for these players not getting the job done. They're going to fire Victor Rodriguez and the 2 assistant hitting coaches. Those guys were pretty good last year. They were pretty good last year until the final few games against the Dodgers. I don't know. So I'm sure there's going to be a sacrificial lamb somewhere. There always is. And then we got to figure out about the ownership. What's going on with the ownership here? Where's Phil Seidler? Are we going to hear what's going on with that situation? What's going on? Now the season's over. Let's find out. Is she going to get control of the ball club, or the Seidler brothers going to get control of the ball club? Well, what do we know? I don't know. I'm sure we'll start hearing things here pretty quick. But no, Tim, I couldn't agree with you. He had no plan at the plate. He hadn't had a plan at the plate for weeks, as far as I'm concerned. Pat, no matter good Mike Schild is as a person, is Mike and Marty Schottenheimer of baseball who can't win the big game. Yeah, I mean, Schild's a middle of the road manager for me. And there are a lot of good managers. He's not a bad manager, but I don't think he's an upper echelon manager. I don't think he's a guy that makes a difference. I want a guy in that dugout that makes a difference. And, he just doesn't make a difference. He's not real inspiring to me. Maybe he is to the players. But to me, I'm not overly inspired by him. He doesn't do anything for me that says, man, this guy's really a difference maker. Want to be a difference maker. Maybe he is. Maybe the players may love him because, I think the players kind of run their own roost in there. If Manny's the leader, I mean, that's kind of what we hear. So I don't know. What can I tell you on that one? All right. Pat, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Richard, when Manny was a Dodger, he rubbed us the wrong way. His demeanor was an issue. When Kershaw had a bad game, he would answer all questions with respect. His attitude is why he is so hated in L.A. Well, here's the deal, and I'll be honest with you on this. When they traded to get Manny for the second half, I forget what year it was, and they brought him in. The Dodgers' intentions, Richard, were to get him, get a good feel for him, and then sign him to a long-term contract. But then they saw his act and the way he went about business, and they go, we're not doing that. And that's when, that offseason, if you recall, that's when they went and they made the trade for Mookie Betts and signed him to the big deal. Dodgers saw Machado's act, and they weren't impressed by it. But he comes to San Diego. Manny does pretty much what Manny wants to do. I don't know if there's a lot of accountability there. And what he did to that reporter, he answered a lot of questions really good last night. And I don't think that question was that bad. How would you assess the year? You say, hey, it was up and down. We dealt with injuries, blah, 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 blah. And, he just said, that's the best question you can ask. We just got beat. He could have just said, you know what? I don't want to talk about it. I can't really talk about it right now. Look around the clubhouse. We got all the guys. Everybody's down. And, I get the question, but that answer could have been a lot more civil and a lot kinder. Okay? He came across as a real jerk, as far as I'm concerned. And I don't know who asked the question, or I'll probably find out. But at the end of the day, if you're the leader of the team, be the leader of the team. And it's tough, man. It's tough. It's not fun to get beat. And the season is over so abruptly, which stinks. But that's the way it works. It's not like Manny's a rookie. He's been to the playoffs a lot. He's played 51 postseason games. And he had a crappy series. We know that. And he hasn't had good history in the postseason. 209 career hitter in the postseason. That's terrible. Yeah, he's hit, 12 home runs, driven in 29 and 51 games. Great. But he hadn't been good. But if you're the leader of the ball club, man, you got to be there through the thick and thin. But it is what it is. And, nobody's going to say anything to him about it, I'm sure. All right, Richard, thank you very much. Sam Sanford, frankly, Coach, I don't ever see this team being serious about winning. They've been nothing but an embarrassment to our city, and it just doesn't seem like they want to change. I wouldn't say they're an embarrassment. There were a lot of guys that went out there and played their tail off. There were other guys that you kind of wondered what the hell they were doing out there. We're going to get in Monday to the who's coming back, who's not coming back. And I'll tell you this, A.J. Preller's got a lot of work to do. pitching wise, you're going to get Musgrove back. You've got, you know, Kelly under King, I should say. You got King under contract, but he can walk away. He's got a contract for $15 million next year, but he's going to opt out, and he'll get a $3.5 million buyout. That's the other thing. Why do you pay guys to go away? He's going to get a $3.5 million buyout. He could come back for 15, but he could get a $3.5 million buyout and then go sign somewhere else. So I don't quite understand those buyouts, but that's me. But you get Musgrove back, and I'm sure he'll be on an innings restriction. And King, you got Darvish if he comes back. You got Pavetta, you got Randy Vasquez. You need one more really tough, hard-nosed pitcher. You got to get another guy in there. And I don't want to hear about Mason Miller being a starting pitcher. You'll blow that guy out. You put him in as a starting pitcher, you'll blow him out. I'm telling you that right now. You heard it here first. Okay, let's keep them coming. We got all kinds of questions. Coach's mailbag, keep it rolling. What do you think of Manny's post-game interview? He seems sensitive and immature. I think that sums it up. Sensitive and immature. I mean, grow up a little bit. Take some accountability. He did say he didn't play well. But you know what? You could, if you're the leader of the team, just say, you know what? Our guys laid it on the line. We played our ass off. The ball didn't bounce our way. But those guys, we were together. We were all pulling the rope in the right direction. Or just say, you know what? I don't want to talk about it. I can't talk about that right now. This is demoralizing. We thought we were going to get deeper into the playoffs, a sudden end. But he came across as a jerk. But like I said earlier, there was a lot of that post game you may not have seen or heard. He answered a lot of the questions really, really well. Very well thought out, very good answers. And then what's wrong with asking a question? How do you assess the season? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You're the leader of the team. And if you can ask the manager, hey, how do you assess the season? And then you go to the leader of the team, you could ask him the same thing. I don't know if you're going to ask Jose Iglesias, how do you assess the season? Okay, but you're talking to Manny, the franchise guy of your organization, and he gets on the reporter for asking that question. Just say, you know what? It's too early, it's too fresh, and it's too raw. I can't answer that right now. My brothers are in here. We're all hurting. That's how you answer the question. You don't have to be a Harvard grad to figure that one out. But it is Manny. Manny being Manny. That's all I ever hear. All right. What else we got? Would you trade Merrill? No. Disappointing year for him after a good first season. Get what you can while you can. No, I'm not trading him. I think he's a good kid, hardworking guy. Had some injuries this year. The muscle pulls, that's a problem. Sliding head first, which I'm not a fan of. He got a concussion there. That kept him out for a while. No, I'm not trading Merrill. I'd trade Tatis before I'd trade Merrill. Tatis, I got to find out if he wants to be here. To me, it doesn't look like he wants to be here anymore. That's what I think. What do you think? Write in your questions. Give me some answers on this. Okay, what else we got? Steve Tejas, coach, same old game not coming through in clutch. Michael King should have started. Absolutely, Michael King should have started one of those games. If he's on the roster, that's telling me he can pitch. He went out there, gave up a hit, had 3 strikeouts in his 1 inning. And you talk about clutch. How about 3 for 26? Yeah, 3 for 26 with runners in scoring position. And one of those hits was an infield hit where he didn't score. So there you have it. Okay, we got anything else? Darvish seemed to be hoping the ball would go where he wanted instead of knowing it. Looks like his elbow is done. Yeah, he's not 100%. So I don't know. I'm sure Darvish is doing a lot of soul searching. I'm sure he's doing a lot of soul searching right now, and he will continue. But it'd be nice if he would let the Padres know, here before too long. Give him a month. Give him until Christmas time. Or right after the winter meetings to let him know whether or not he's going to come back or not. But again, like I said, he's owed, $46 million over the next 3 years. And it's his right. to continue to try to pitch if he wants to. I mean, if he's not going to be any better than he was this year, he's just going to go out there and tarnish his reputation. But I don't think he'll do that. I think Yu's a great guy. I don't know how you walk away, though, from $46 million. I think you still show up to spring training every year and see what you can do. He's not like Drew Pomerantz, who basically stole money for 2 years from the Padres. He didn't work all that hard to get back. I can tell you that right now. I know that from people inside the organization. Now all of a sudden, he doesn't have that contract with the Padres anymore, and all of a sudden he's gotten healthy. Now pitching for the Cubs. We saw him in the series. All right, Joey, thank you very much. All right, would you trade Merrill? No, I wouldn't trade Merrill. I'm not going to go that direction. Okay, I think that's it. Okay, again, I'm glad we got through. I know we had some kinks in the armor today. Little bit with me early, little bit with John Maffei, but we did get Maffei up live and in color today, which was nice. We had some problems with Jonathan, but big Aztec game tonight. And again, Monday, we're going to be all squared away. SDG&E just working in our area, knocked out our internet today for about 8 hours, but we were able to get on the air, try to get some of the frustration out. You know what? Here's the deal. Before we get out of here, I got to tell you this. My life before I got into the media was all baseball. I was a high school coach. I was a junior college coach. I was a 4-year coach. I managed in the top summer league in the country back in the 80s, the Jayhawk League. It was similar to the Alaska League. I managed a lot of guys and coached a lot of guys that have been drafted, a lot of guys that have played professionally. A few guys have gotten to the big leagues for a cup of coffee. I've been around some of the best baseball people in the history of the game, guys like Towers and Bochy and Buddy Black. And, I could go on Merv Rettenman. Ben Hines, the old hitting coach, taught me a lot about hitting. I've been around the great scouts, Orrin Freeman, Gary Hughes, Al Kupski. I've been around a lot of great baseball people. Dave Garcia, in the game for 70 years. I learned a lot from all those guys. And accountability is the number one thing. And some of the Padre players need to look at themselves in the mirror and figure out what they want to do. Rather than being too cool for school, they got to get down to the brass tacks. And I'll be honest with you. I'm not afraid to have hard conversations with baseball players. I've been very fortunate in my life to be around a lot of really good players, but a lot of good executives. And the one thing that I can do is talk to ball players. And whether they like what I say or not, they always appreciated me being honest. And I think the Padres right now, they've got to have some real talks with some of their players about what they want to get accomplished. I'm tired of hearing, well, we're here to win a championship. Well, if you're here to win a championship, you gotta buy in. Everybody's got to buy in. The guys that came over in the trades, I mean, Fermin was great. Laureano, unfortunately, he couldn't play. He was great. He should be back next year. O'Hearn busted his ass. Did a great job. Mason Miller was fantastic. J.P. Sears wasn't great, but he did give them some innings. Whether they were good innings or not, he did take a little bit of pressure off of the ball club. I'm not worried about guys like Bergert and Kolek who got traded. Freddie Fermin did a hell of a job. I told you Freddie Fermin was damn good. He did a hell of a job for the Padres. Did a great job of handling the staff, threw out runners, and swung the bat very well. It was a definite upgrade. He'll be the starting catcher next year. You got to go out and get a catcher. You're not going to bring back Diaz. Campusano was on the roster, but I don't think he factors in. I think they'll probably move him in a trade. And if I was Luis, I'd want to go in a trade because I don't think Mike Schilt necessarily thinks he's all that great. I think that was more of an A.J. Preller putting him on the roster for the postseason than Mike Schilt. Mike Schilt has shown no inclination whatsoever to like and play Luis Campusano. Well, he didn't hit. He also went 0 for the season. But the way he was utilized was probably not the best to give him the best opportunity, but nonetheless. But the Padres need to have some serious talks with a couple of their players. Like I said, you're not going to be able to move Manny's contract at 33 years of age. Okay? You can move Tatis. And if he doesn't want to be here, or if he doesn't want to play with more fire than he played this year, then you got to try to get him to accept a trade. And again, he's got no trade until after the 2028 season. But he's acting like he does not want to be a member of the Padres any longer. Maybe he wants to go back to shortstop. Maybe that would get him all fired up again. But right now, he's a shell of the player that he was 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. I'll let you decide on that one. All right, we're going to get out of here again. Please subscribe, please like, please send in your comments. And again, if you would be inclined, you can join our Gold Glove Members Club for $2.99 a month. Go to our YouTube page and hit join, and that'll take care of that. Again, you can follow me on Facebook at John Quintera and on X at Coach Quintera 44. Monday, we're going to go through all the roster, all the postseason roster, and a couple of the guys that were left off the postseason roster. I'm going to tell you their contract status, and I'm going to tell you what I would do with them. So tell a friend. Monday, you don't want to miss the show Monday morning at 9 a.m. You're only going to get that stuff here, folks. Okay, I live Padre baseball every day of the year. And once again, I have to say at the end of this season, as I've said since I was a little boy, 10 years old, back in 1969, we're going to wait until next year. But Monday morning, don't miss the program. Tell a friend on that one. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.